to our Sun News Flash right now. Minnesota officials have formally charged an Alberta MLA for hiring a prostitute. Mike Allen was on a political trip in St. Paul when he was nabbed in an undercover sting on Monday night. Sara Grewing, attorney for the city of St. Paul, Minnesota, joins us now live on the line. So I wonder if we can start at the very beginning here. What happened?
Good afternoon. This case was a situation where we were conducting, the St. Paul Police Department rather, was conducting a routine John sweep. And what happens in those situations is that an undercover female police officer places an ad on a website called Backpage.com. In this particular case, the defendant responded to that ad and asked to schedule an appointment. The defendant asked our undercover officer to explain the costs, amounts of time, that sort of thing. He then got her address and took a limousine to her motel. About a half an hour later, the defendant arrived, called the police officer again, and went to her room. He agreed to pay $200 in exchange for sex with two women. The defendant then placed the cash on the counter, began to undress, and at that time, as typically happens, the undercover officer gave a bust signal to the other officers who were monitoring the situation electronically. They entered the room and placed the defendant under arrest.
Can you tell us what his reaction was like? What happened in those moments immediately after that?
You know, I can't. That information is not public at this time.
Okay, so let's go over the charges that Mike Allen is now officially facing.
This defendant is charged with one count of gross misdemeanor solicitation of prostitution in a public place. It carries with it a maximum sentence of a year and a $3,000 fine.
Okay, so what happens next for him now that he's officially facing this one charge? Will he need to return to Minnesota to actually face it in person, and when might that happen?
His first court appearance is September 30th at 12:30 here in court in Ramsey County in downtown St. Paul. We typically expect defendants to appear themselves, though they can waive that appearance in writing with the judge's approval. It's hard for me to say at this point whether he will elect to choose that option.
Okay, and again, the charge carries in terms of punishment 1 year plus a $3,000 fine.
That's the maximum, yes.
If he's never been charged of any crime before, is it likely that he will face this penalty?
Typically, we would resolve these cases if before going to trial for a first-time offender at a much lower amount. I can't say with any certainty right now what that would be. It would depend on where we would be in that negotiation. But yes, most people don't serve a full year if it's a first-time offense.
And is it possible that the penalty would be waived entirely?
No, we no longer offer what's called a vacate and dismiss on solicitation cases. So there will be some sort of record and some sort of accountability, but I'm not sure what that is at this time.
Okay, and to clarify as well, that Mike Allen was actually one of over a dozen, I guess, men who were involved in this.
That's correct.
Okay, it was 13 in total?
My office has handled 10 so far. The police department is still reviewing, I believe, 3 more, and they either would come to me for a gross misdemeanor or go across the street for a felony with the district attorney.
Fair enough. St. Paul, Minnesota City Attorney Sara Grewing joining us on the phone. Appreciate you walking us through that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.